dialogue. West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
It's May Day in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Cotonou. Good afternoon and welcome to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world at wadr.org. Coming up in the news, West African intellectuals in an open letter call for continuation of electoral process in Guinea-Bissau.
It is achievable. Around the world, we have seen many autocracies transform into stable, virtuous states.
Senegalese presidency announces a new decree strategically reorganizing the Prime Minister's office. Burkina Faso reinstates death penalty.
In terms of innovation, the current law contains many innovations across its 891 articles.
In Nigeria, President Tinubu's list of ambassadorial nominees sparks a nationwide debate over selections and competency of candidates. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Augustine Coley with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. More than a week since the coup in Guinea-Bissau, the junta is facing increased pressure from the regional institution and CSO groups to ensure the continuation of the disrupted electoral process. On Thursday, former senior officials from ECOWAS, along with some former leaders and diplomats in an open letter, reiterated the call already made by many to resolve the political crisis in Guinea-Bissau. Their demand comes as the Economic Community of West African States meets on December 14, 2025 for an extraordinary session. Adama Gaye, former Director of Communications at ECOWAS, is one of the signatories of the open letter.
There is a temptation to assume that ECOWAS might deploy troops, as some suggested, during the coup in Niger, but we know that approach did not succeed. Nations do not tolerate humiliation. This is one of the fundamental lessons for any geopolitician. Yet, ECOWAS commands respect, and the countries it engages with are obliged to take its position seriously. ECOWAS has an important role to play in asserting itself, just as it successfully pressured Yahya Jammeh to leave the Gambia, and as it did in 2003 or shortly thereafter with Charles Taylor in Liberia. Today, its voice can carry similar weight in Guinea-Bissau, helping the country return to the path of building a state governed by the rule of law with strong institutions, respect for individual and collective freedoms, and structures that manage the state fairly, transparently, and for the benefit of the community. This is not a pipe dream. It is achievable. Around the world, we have seen many autocracies transform into stable, virtuous states.
Adama Gaye is a former Director of Communications at ECOWAS. Meanwhile, the 43rd meeting of the ECOWAS Mediation and Security Council at the ambassadorial level has convened in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Delegates and representatives from member states met to review the region's deepening political, security, and humanitarian challenges, also assessing the state of democracy and security across the sub-region as staff and senior officials from the Political Affairs, Peace and Security, as well as the Early Warning Directorates. Imo Edit has more in this report.
The Council reviewed updates on the implementation of National Early Warning and Response Centers and held discussions on preparations for the upcoming special summit focusing on the future of regional integration. Speaking on behalf of ECOWAS Commission President Dr. Omaliu Toure, Ambassador Abdel Fattah Musa, Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, expressed concern over escalating insecurity in the region. He emphasized the need for renewed focus on operationalizing the regional counterterrorism force following recent agreements regarding funding mechanisms derived from the region's own resources. Julius Sandy, chair of the Council and Sierra Leone's permanent representative to Nigeria, highlighted the urgency of addressing the repercussions stemming from the withdrawal of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger from ECOWAS. Combined with growing insecurity, governance challenges, and mounting humanitarian pressures, it called for a swift and coordinated response from the regional bloc. This meeting is part of ECOWAS' ongoing efforts to stabilize the region, enhance early warning systems, and ensure collective security during what officials consider one of West Africa's most volatile periods in recent history.
Imo added with that report, here in Senegal, the presidency has announced a new decree reorganizing the Prime Minister's office. The decree, number 2025-1929, with new management tools, strengthened services, and a revised administrative structure, establishes the Prime Minister's office as a true center for government coordination. This reform has been praised by some experts for its ambitions, but it has also raised questions within the civil society. Abdullahi Hassan has more in this report.
The draft decree reorganizing the Prime Minister's office introduces a major change in the government structure. The Prime Minister's office becomes a strengthened coordination hub, equipped with new management tools and a broader organization of its services. According to economist Dr. Suleiman Keita, this reform is not driven solely by political considerations. It is also based on clearly defined administrative principles.
So when I consider the positive effects, that is, the fact that a strengthened Prime Minister's office can have what we call stimulating effects. First, it can lead to an improvement in public policies. It allows for better harmonization of the work carried out by the ministries. Secondly, it helps reduce duplications since we observe a number of overlaps among certain ministries and agencies. It also allows the alignment of priority projects within the new governance framework, providing better visibility for these projects.
For Amadou Samb, a member of Senegal's civil society, this new configuration may, however, entail certain risks and requires heightened vigilance.
Any new decision can have economic implications. There are also other impacts that could be significant. And regarding the unit responsible for preparing the Council of Ministers compared to the 4 existing units, I think this one could be more expensive because with a Council of Ministers meeting held every week, we should expect higher budgetary implications.
Among the main innovations are the creation of a Deputy Chief of Staff position to improve follow-up on matters, the appointment of a Secretary of State attached to the Prime Minister's office and serving as government spokesperson, as well as an update of the Cabinet's services. Adjustments that give the Prime Minister's office expanded capacity for action and a central role in steering government policy.
Abdullahi Hassan fight that report.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Now let's take you to the Central Sahel region, particularly Burkina Faso, where the Transitional Authority has reinstated the death penalty following its adoption by the Council of Ministers. This comes as an amendment to the country's penal code. As a reminder, the death penalty was abolished in 2018 under the presidency of Roch-Marie Christian Kabore. Other important decisions were also made during this weekly meeting of the Burkinabe Executive Branch. Let's hear from Edaso Rodrigue Bayala, Burkina Faso's Minister of Justice, on this matter.
In terms of innovation, it must be said that the draft law, which relates to the current law, the Penal Code, contains many innovations across its 891 articles. Among them, a major innovation is the reinstatement of the death penalty and its execution procedures for a number of offences, including treason. Specifically, Burkinabe is taking up arms against the country, acts of terrorism, espionage, and so on. Thus, the death penalty has been reinstated for a number of offences. Furthermore, there are several reforms that have been implemented in sectors that needed to be harmonised with the penal code. For example, community service is now a primary and independent sentence in the penal code. The promotion and practice of homosexuality and related activities, which are currently punishable under the penal code, has also been incorporated into the penal code. We have also reviewed the sanctions for economic crimes, which include embezzlement and acts of corruption.
That's so Rodrigue Bayala is Burkina Faso's Minister of Justice. Elsewhere in Liberia, reactions continue to pour in towards a proposed bill seeking a reduction in lawmakers' monthly salaries from $8,000 to $5,000. This bill was introduced by Senator Darius DeLon of Montserrat County. On Thursday, senators began debating the essence of the bill and its relevance. However, the proposal is stirring mixed reactions from citizens, civil society, including political actors and lawmakers. Anderson Miamen, the executive director of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, CENTAL, also reacts to the proposed bill.
Reduction in salary of lawmakers should have taken place like yesterday. That means it's long overdue. We have a rich country, but the richness is not really reflected in the lives of the people. And one of the main reasons for that is corruption. But beyond corruption, the available resources go to, for the most part, people in high political offices. So the way we design the budget over time has really been in a way that benefits higher ups in the government, lawmakers, ministers, heads of public corporations, and the like. It's timely, of course, it's long overdue. We need to get to a point whereby public resources can work for the people and not otherwise. And one of the ways to do that is to reduce the exorbitant salaries or very high salaries that lawmakers make. If we take 8,000 across the board for senators and representatives, you'll be talking about saving $1 million USD annually from the end of the senators, and you'll be talking about around 2.5 million annually for the representatives. That is a significant amount that, when applied properly, can help to create jobs, can help to provide empowerment for young people, can help to provide support to persons with disability, and it can help to fund some of the schools that we have.
Anderson Miamen is Executive Director of the Center for Transparency and Accountability, CENTAR, in Liberia. Now let's travel to Togo, where the President of the Council of Ministers, Faure Sengui, appeared before the National Assembly on December 2, a first time in the country's history. Addressing the representatives and senators, he delivered a solemn speech on the state of the nation, during which he reaffirmed his intention to make the Fifth Republic a system of governance focused on action and results. The statement has already sparked reactions both among the public and within the political class. Christopher Aticho reports.
In his address to the National Assembly, Faure Sengui outlined the three main pillars intended to shape the Fifth Republic. He promised a new vision for Togo, a message that was well received by some Togolese. According to his supporters, the speech represents a key moment in the country's political trajectory.
Very moving. We truly weren't expecting this. First of all, simply complying with the Constitution, coming to speak about the nation before parliamentarians is already an innovation. We are truly in the Fifth Republic, and everything is contained in this speech. I believe we are eager to see the real results that the President of the Council dreams of.
But the enthusiasm is not shared by everyone. Others criticize the speech as unsurprising and out of touch with everyday realities.
I listened to the speech several times because I wanted to understand the essence of his speech, his message. After my personal analysis, I understood that the gentleman is asking us Togolese to forget or ignore the results of his poor governance. All we ask is that Togo be well governed. I am not personally ready to trust him. A new era promised by the Prime Minister to the Togolese people. In all honesty, without being pessimistic, I would simply say, in my opinion, that it's a bluff. He's had 20 years to prove himself, and that's not likely to change now. In fact, there is no proof of that. He could have even addressed the people directly in his speech.
The President of the Council now wants to center his governance around three priorities: protecting, uniting and transforming Togo, On security, Nyasingbe emphasized the need to strengthen national resilience in the face of regional threats, particularly in the north of the country. Politically, the executive aims to reinforce national cohesion through decentralization.
A report by WADR's Lomé correspondent Sylvie Widraogo, presented by Christopher Watteacher. You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Here is a reminder of our top stories. West African intellectuals in an open letter call for continuation of electoral process in Guinea-Bissau. Senegalese presidency announces a new decree strategically reorganizing Prime Minister's office. Burkina Faso reinstates death penalty. Still ahead in the news, in Nigeria, President Tinubu's list of ambassadorial nominees sparks a nationwide debate over selections and competence of candidates. We also have a guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for being with us. As a reminder, we are streaming live on YouTube at WADR and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has sent a fresh batch of 65 ambassadorial nominees to the Senate, reviving hopes of full diplomatic representation abroad, while also igniting fierce controversy at home. The nominations have produced a mix of praise and sharp criticisms. WADR's Usma Umar tells us more.
President Bola Tinubu Thursday forwarded a list of 65 ambassadorial nominees to the Senate, a combination of 34 career envoys and 31 non-career appointments seeking confirmation for postings abroad. Supporters say the appointments are overdue and necessary to restore Nigeria's diplomatic presence after a prolonged lull. Public affairs analyst Jide Ojo applauded the president's selections, calling them a pragmatic mix that could reposition Nigeria internationally and safeguard national interests overseas.
I think it's a good thing. The president is walking the talk. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, he set up a U.S.-Nigeria war joint committee to work out final details of support that we are going to be getting from U.S., particularly in the area of security assistance. And so this ambassador will be the one to oversee and superintend over that committee, in my own opinion. But better to have somebody there. And if the person is inefficient, can be removed and redeployed.
But the list has also stirred controversy. Critics argue that some nominees, notably the inclusion of former Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, raise serious concerns about the merit and public confidence in state institutions. Public affairs analyst Jake Ebele speaks on Yakubu's nomination.
It looks to me like political tokenism, a reward for his job well done in 2023. This is one appointment I would have asked the president to distance himself from.
As the 65-person list is now before the Senate's Committee on Foreign Affairs, the country awaits to see whether the nominees will be confirmed and whether Nigeria's diplomacy will bounce back or become further mired in domestic controversy. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
The European Union has emphasized the need to develop new ways of responding to the growing security crisis in the Sahel, especially within the AES countries, including Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. The EU's special representative for the Sahel, Joao Cravino, on a visit to Accra and the northern regional capital, Tamale, says the bloc sees Ghana as a key partner in shaping a coordinated regional response. From Accra, Nadia Detete report.
According to the EU Special Representative for the Sahel, Joao Cravino, the rise in jihadist activity and the recent coups in Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger pose growing risks for the Sahel, the wider West African region and even Europe. He noted that although the three countries have withdrawn from ECOWAS, a sovereign decision the EU respects, their departure does not take them out of the region's security picture. During his visit to Accra and Tamale, Joao Cravino warned that terrorist groups do not remain confined within borders, emphasizing that the nature of the threat demands coordinated regional action rather than isolated national efforts.
The challenges facing the EAS countries cannot be dealt with by the EAS countries alone. And I believe that they recognize this. And therefore, we need to be finding ways in which we can correspond to our security needs, to their security needs, and in a way that is appropriate.
João Cravino said the EU remains committed to supporting Ghana as it plays a bridging role with the Sahel states.
We think that this is important, but we also think that it is not accomplished yet. We are willing to and keen to work with Ghana in order to find a new platform of understanding that will enable all of us to be fighting terrorism, which is in nobody's interest.
The EU's envoy, who was in Ghana on a 3-day mission to, among others, reaffirm the Union's commitment to regional security, held a series of high-level meetings, including discussions with President John Mahama on strengthening cooperation in addressing Sahel-related security threats. For WADR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
The guest interview segment this afternoon focuses on Senegal, as the presidency has announced a new decree reorganizing the Prime Minister's office. The decree, with new management tools, strengthened services, and a revised administrative structures, establishes the Prime Minister's office as a true center for government's coordination. Professor Gorgui Dieng is a political analyst. He provides an analysis of this latest measure by Senegal's president.
The office of the Prime Minister has been restructured in order to have more efficient governance in Senegal, because some new offices have been established in order to have more efficiency, more coordination between the different government departments. So we can talk about reorganization of the activities of the role of the Prime Minister. But I believe that the main objective is to have more efficiency. But I don't believe that there has been any great reinforcement of the powers of the Prime Minister compared to the previous Prime Ministers. Maybe we want to have the decree establishes more efficiency, better organization of the activities of the government, and then the roles are very clearly set in order for every minister, every section at the office of the Prime Minister to be clearly stated.
Is there a need for an efficiency different from the way other Prime Ministers served this office, which requires a reorganization that this government is doing?
Well, the role of the Prime Minister normally in Senegal is to coordinate the different activities of the different departments of the ministries. That is the role of the Prime Minister, and it is still the role of the Prime Minister, but it goes now beyond coordination. The role of the Prime Minister now is to establish very close links, very close coordination, very close partnerships between the different ministries of the government. We have got now to know that it is the Prime Minister's office who control efficiency, the implementation of the reforms, the implementation of the programs. Of course, that used to be the case, but it is now much more normalized, much more standardized than before. But I don't believe that there has been any great change compared to what it used to be in the past, because the President of the Republic has not taken any powers from his to give them to the Prime Minister, because the president remains central to any activity of the government.
Is it by law that the reorganization of the Prime Minister's office is coming at this time?
Well, it is not about that, because there hasn't been any real change. To tell the truth, the president has not given to the Prime Minister any new powers. The president remains the main coordinator, the main actor of the Senegalese governance. So what is new here is simply that things has been more or better structured. The activities of the different ministries has been better, stated, and we have now better coordination between the different ministers, and then everything will be done and coordinated from the Prime Minister's office. And this has always been the role of the Prime Minister, but that has not been stated very clearly as it has been done today.
Professor Gorgi Jeng is a political analyst. Now, in the world of sports, Africa's 9 qualified nations for the 2026 FIFA World Cup will discover their group stage opponents this Friday as the draw for the expanded 48-team tournament takes place in Washington, D.C. The ceremony, hosted at the Kennedy Center, begins at 7 p.m. and marks the first major milestone in the final build-up to the World Cup that will span Canada, the United States, and Mexico between 11 June and 18th July 2026. For African teams, the draw represents more than just the unveiling opponents. It signals the first step in a campaign that many believe could be the continent's most promising in decades, coming after Morocco's historic semi-final run at Qatar 2022, the first by an African nation. Africa's continent is already confirmed. Morocco, Senegal, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Cape Verde, and South Africa all topped their qualifying groups and secured automatic places at the tournament. Under the new 48-team format, the World Cup will feature 12 groups of 4, with teams drawn from 4 seeded pots based on the latest FIFA rankings. And that's the latest in the world of sports. With that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and a special thanks to Fali Lusso and Ismaila Kamara for the technical assistance. Do interact with us via our social media platforms, X, Instagram at WADR English, on Facebook, WADR English Service. At 1 p.m., the comprehensive news edition in French, Info Chez Vous, will come your way with Demba Amaan. Until then, I am Augustine Curley. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.